Welcome to episode 4 of In His Bag. We got a lot to get into, so cue the intro music.
Tedeschi dentro sotto per Dybala, attenzione, va la gioia di Dybala! Stokely down the sideline. Can they catch him? Stokely, wow!
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang!
Welcome to episode 4 of In His Bag. We have a lot to get into today. We got a lot of news to get into because I unfortunately was occupied, so I couldn't put out the weekly news episode. I had to go to the UMass versus Miami, Ohio game for one of my classes, Shadow, so I can work production eventually. So I wasn't exactly able to put out a news episode, but in the news segment, I'll try to cover as much of the news that came out since the last show as possible, and then we'll be getting right into our NFL power rankings as the season has come to an end. We start heading towards free agency, the draft, and all that good stuff. So let's get started with the sporting news. The first big piece of news that I'm going to be talking about is the NBA All-Star Game. It was honestly a pretty good All-Star Game. Reports have it that came in at 8.8 million views, which is the highest since 2011. And honestly, the game itself was pretty good. It was competitive. You had a game going into overtime. And honestly, Wemby was saying a lot during the entire All-Star weekend, talking a lot. There's a clip of him and Jokic talking with Wemby explaining that he always reads a book before the games, and Jokic shaking his head in disappointment. And honestly, Wemby just brought some new life to the game. A lot of analysts on TV have been talking that without the players bringing the energy, no change in format is going to make a difference. And the players brought the energy this year. Wemby brought the energy. It was great. And Anthony Edwards responded in kind. So it was a great game. The players brought the energy, and overall, it was a lot better compared to previous years and previous formats of the All-Star game. Honestly, I enjoyed the format too. It was a lot better than last year's format. I think that despite the final game with it being a relative blowout, the other games were good. And then when you look at the challenges from the All-Star game, you had Damian Lillard won the three-point contest, even though he has not played a single minute of basketball this season. And what is interesting, honestly, this was the most exciting thing for me about the All-Star weekend. The three-point contest next year could be amazing. Steph Curry said he'll do it if he goes against Dame, Clay, and other shooters. So if they bring back the OG players, the OG superstar shooters for that three-point contest, I will tune in for that, and I cannot wait for that. And then dunk contest is slowly continuing to die. Keyshawn Johnson won, but the real storyline, three-time dunk contest champion Mac McClung didn't participate. And a lot of people were saying, oh, he doesn't have the dunks to compete in the All-Star Challenge. He didn't have this, that, and the third. He was running out of skills. When you go back and you look at what he was considering putting out for the dunk contest, like some of these are insane. Like you look at this first one, this first video, like what are we talking about here? That's insane. That's a 50 right there. You get that. He would have easily swept the dunk contest if he pulled off any of these dunks. Like, this is insane. I would have loved to see Mac McClung be in the dunk contest. Seeing this is just insane. I would have loved to see Mac McClung in there. And then the Shooting Stars, the Knicks claimed the Shooting Stars title. It wasn't exactly that interesting, but honestly, I enjoyed the All-Star game. So here is to the players maintaining the competitiveness of the game, because that's really what it comes down to above everything else. It doesn't matter what people are saying. The format doesn't matter. It's the players that matter. When you look back at older All-Star games, it was the players that brought the competitive. The East versus West format, yeah, that's a classic. But it's just the players and the competitiveness. One change that I do think might make a difference is that instead of having everyone wearing the same jerseys, bring back the players wearing their own jerseys, representing their own teams. That might bring some passion, fuel some fire within them to make them want to represent for their team and do well for their team and increase the level of competition that Wemby started to increase this year. So, overall, good All-Star game. I enjoyed it. It was very, very satisfying. When you look back previous years, this was definitely a major step in the right direction overall. And then from the positive, we turn to the negative with Kevin Durant and his inability to stay off of Twitter. That man has had another burner account leaked, and some of the stuff he has been saying is ridiculous. We have some of them here. When you're talking about Sengun, he said, first of all, the username is insane. I'm not going to say that, but you can just read it for yourself. It's hilarious. We say, KD said, coach called a play to pass to Alpi, lol. I'm going to turn the ball over with this shitty-ass team. I don't give a fuck. Your franchise player can't shoot or defend. That's a way bigger issue than my turnovers. Remember, these guys are your future. That is talking about his all-star teammate. And then when you look, these are your teammates. But then he came out the other day saying that he wasn't there to talk about the burner accounts. And he did lead the Rockets to a win. So there is that. Jabari Smith hasn't said anything. There's been no real outbreak from within the Rockets, which I guess is a good sign. But it wasn't just the Rockets. When we look at everything, it goes back to absolutely everything. He was on his phone, I believe, at the press conference or something at the All-Star game. So there was that issue. And then there's a whole bunch of other tweets. There's others when he's talking about Steve Kerr that I'm not gonna repeat, but it said it was related to Jordan punching him and how Kerr does not like dark skins anymore after that. So we're just gonna leave it at that. There are other ones that say when he started holding Steph accountable, the entire thing blew up. It's just insane stuff that has been coming out about Kevin Durant, and honestly, it's been an issue throughout KD's career. His burner accounts from earlier have been leaked. He said some not so great stuff. There's the infamous Scarlett Johansson bathwater, which is just insane. But KD is just known for his Twitter fingers, and that's not exactly a good thing when you're supposed to be this top 15 player of all time. But honestly, if things don't get better, they are going to get worse. As it stands right now, I mentioned it before that KD led the Rockets to a win the other night. He led them to a 105-101 victory over the Hornets. And he dropped 35 points on 14 of 20 shooting from the field. He was efficient. So he had a good game. However, some of the stuff that he did say, like Sengun, 13 points, 6 of 16 from the field, 0 of 3 from 3, only 2 rebounds. Like, some of the stuff is accurate, but that's not exactly stuff that you should be going on Twitter and ranting about in these private group chats that, again, it creates so much discord. I have heard and seen so many more people talking about this and KD's burner accounts than the actual NBA games that have happened since the All-Star break. Like, I haven't heard anyone talking about the games that happened last night. Honestly, this has overshadowed the All-Star game too. I've heard more people talking about this than the actual All-Star game and how it was actually a good All-Star game, which is a bit concerning. And then we go from not good with Kevin Durant to even worse with tanking. The NBA and Adam Silver have said that they are trying to figure out a way to deal with the tanking. And from what I have seen, they are moving towards a possible solution. They're trying to enforce anti-tanking rules next season. Ideally, some of the ideas that have come out with first-round picks can be protected from top 4 or top 14 plus. Lottery odds freeze after the deadline. They don't allow teams to pick in the top 4 in consecutive years. Teams can't pick in the top 4 after making the conference finals. I've heard them flattening out all the lottery odds, which has already made tanking worse. I think that, honestly, all of these proposed solutions won't help the NBA in any way. Like, I think the worst proposal they had here was flattening odds for all lottery teams. I don't like that at all because as we've seen with the flattened odds, it's getting more teams to tank. Like we've seen teams playing worse now that the odds are flattened compared to what it was before. I've mentioned it so many times on the show already. The Jazz with Jaren Jackson Jr. and the whole thing of benching their four players, their stars in the fourth quarter. Jaren Jackson Jr. is now out for the season. Things like that have been blatant tanking. I think that if you flatten the odds out for all the teams, that's going to get worse. So we just got that proposed solution's got to go out the door. That's not happening anytime this season. And then flattening out the odds at the deadline or a later date, that can't work either because then I think that decreases interest at the start of the season. You have teams coming out the gate trying to tank. And that's when the NBA is good. That's when the NBA, when people watch the league, it's not March basketball where no one cares anymore. It's, start of the season, NBA's here. Let's enjoy the game. You have NBA Christmas, and you have all the games. That kills the entire first half of the season. You can't do that. It also kind of, in my opinion, that'll kill the trade deadline. Like, teams are tanking, so they won't really be concerned about trying to get off players or anything like that. So that solution also isn't great. The one solution here the two solutions here that I'm not exactly opposed to would be not allowing the team to pick in the top 4 in consecutive years. That is not a bad proposal. That way it forces teams to, even if they tank, they don't get the reward. So there is that. And then there's also, it allows other bad teams to cycle in and be able to get better players, which is what ultimately the idea of the draft is for. So that, as a possible solution, is very high up there. And I like that overall. And then also, teams can't pick in the top 4 after making the conference finals. I also like that, again, because it limits how good these top teams can get. Like the Thunder last year made the conference finals. They couldn't be able to draft another pick with their million picks that Scam Presti has accounted for. Yes, Scam Presti, not Sam Presti. But I think those two would be ideal to implement, but then again, the NBA is trying to implement these next season, so I'm not a huge fan of them trying to rush the process and immediately react to it like they did with the load management and implementing the 65 game rule, which has failed horribly, has received backlash from everybody, from players to media to fans and everything in between. So even though some of the ideas are good, I don't think it's smart to rush the process and just dive straight into things off the bat, because then that has the potential to make things worse rather than better overall. And then this is related to tanking. The Kings, on the same day, have announced that Zach LaVine and Sabonis are undergoing season-ending surgery. The Kings are the worst team in the NBA. I ranked them dead last in my power rankings. If you didn't watch the power rankings, go tune in, episode 3. So, clearly things didn't work out for the Kings this year. They started 3-7 to start off the season, I believe. These are their two highest paid players. They didn't make any interesting moves at the trade deadline. They got rid of Keon Ellis for whatever reason. I don't know why. And things are just getting worse and worse for them. After the light the beam season with Fox and Sabonis, they have just been getting worse. And I think that this is clearly tanking. They're aiming for a top 5 pick. Honestly, top 1 pick as it is now, with the low, as I've continued to say, I've been talking about this tanking for a while now. It's a loaded draft class. You have Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer, AJ DeBonsa, and also a bunch of other good players. So this is a clear. I hate saying this because I said it with the Jazz last episode too. It's clearly tanking, but they don't want to admit it. And this is the exact reason that Adam Silver and the NBA are trying to implement those anti-tanking rules and do something about it. So Kings will be without their star players for the foreseeable future, which I am not a fan of. But then again, the Kings are the Kings, and they have not done anything since ever. So there is that. And then we'll take a break from basketball, and we'll go over to the Seattle Seahawks. I talked about this, I believe. I talked about it on one of the first episodes of the show, and it is official that the Seattle Seahawks are for sale. They released a statement that they have begun the formal process of selling the Seattle Seahawks. And I believe this is the first time that the team that had won the Super Bowl is going up for sale immediately after. And honestly, this is insane. When you consider the Seahawks, this is relating to the power rankings that will happen later on in the episode. When you look at the Seahawks, they have everything to continue being good. Their value is honestly skyrocketed after that Super Bowl. I think they're going to sell for around 7 to 9 billion with a B. This is insane to me. So it's something that I reported on, and then when I saw that it might not happen, I was leaning towards the fact that it wouldn't happen because, like I said, this is the first time that a team who has won the Super Bowl has gone up for sale the next season. So there's something there, and whoever decides to buy it will be set up extremely, extremely well for the foreseeable future. We'll go back to the NBA. Most immediate news. Franz Wagner is sidelined indefinitely after he requires additional time to rehab soreness in his left ankle. He'll be reevaluated in 3 weeks. The Orlando Magic are middle of the pack as always. They have been struggling, which it's not fun. And Franz has missed 25 of his last 29 games since sustaining the high ankle sprain on December 7th. And it's the inconsistency that makes me upset with the Magic. Over last season and this season, the combination of Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and Jalen Suggs have only played in 19 of 153 games. Like, they have the players to be good. Like, those are 3 good players right there, but they just are not available together at the same time. And then when you have Franz and Paolo playing together, they don't look good. When you have Franz on his own, he looks amazing. When you have Paolo on his own, he looks amazing. When you combine the two, they just don't look good. So they net out at like the 6th seed or like top of the play-in always. And that frustrates me as a fan. I rank them, I believe, like middle tier on the power rankings. It's just something that is always frustrating to watch when it comes out, and if only the Magic were able to do something about their health that wasn't this absolute dumpster fire that has happened. And then we'll continue on to Kyrie Irving. Dallas Mavericks point guard Kyrie Irving will miss the rest of the season to recover from his ACL that he suffered late in the season last year. And I've been saying this for a while. Nico Harrison's idea of a win now team with AD and Kyrie has been completely thrown into the dumpster and burnt to ashes. AD is now in Washington. I say in Washington, not playing in Washington because he does not play. And then Kyrie has suffered his torn ACL. Those two never played together. They played a half together, I believe. And then AD got hurt. So that never truly materialized. And then Cooper Flag. This doesn't really change anything for the Mavericks. They've been playing without Kyrie all season, and it's been the Cooper Flag show. Cooper Flag has been absolutely balling. He's proven why he deserved that generational label, that top pick label. He's been playing absolutely amazing. On the season, he's averaging 20 points per game, 6.6 rebounds. He's shooting 51.5 effective field goal percentage. So he's playing extremely well. I love that for him. But when you look at the Mavericks roster overall, they don't have the young talent around him. It's kind of looking like a Luka Doncic situation where it's just star player, absolutely phenomenal, and then crickets around him. Just nobody who can put things together. But I think that if Kyrie comes back, he's taken the whole season off, which is good. Don't rush that. He's an older player too. I think that if he comes back and you pair Kyrie with Cooper Flag next season, that is a good combination right there. I like that for them. Kyrie can provide that veteran mentorship on the court. You can also provide that scoring punch that Cooper Flag does not have from any other player. So I like that a lot for them. And then we'll finish out the news with the NFL. The window for franchise tags has opened and will stay open through March 3rd. Some of the top candidates include George Pickens, Daniel Jones, and Alex Pierce, Kyle Pitts, Kenneth Walker, Trey Hendrickson, and Breece Hall. If I believe things haven't exactly been interesting. None of these players have been tagged yet. There have been speculations that the Cowboys won't tag Pickens, which I think is a huge mistake after what he did last season. When you look at it, George Pickens had an absolute monster season. No one expected him to do the things that he did. He put up 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns, which is absolute insanity. And then you have other players. Daniel Jones is a bit of a question mark. He tore his Achilles. I think if the Colts are smart to put him on the franchise tag, they won't do what the Giants did and give him another contract, which royally cooked them. So, smart thing for the Colts would be to franchise tag Daniel Jones. Kyle Pitts, there have been a lot of speculation around Kyle Pitts. I've seen potential trades for him to Kansas City, bring in a nice big receiver, possibly heir to Travis Kelce. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all. And then But it would be nice to see the Falcons franchise tag him and just keep the talent on the roster that they have had. It's tough though because they failed to use him properly. He hasn't exactly been playing well. I remember the first season with Arthur. It wasn't the first season, but the season with Arthur Smith. It was just decoys everywhere, and I'm like, why? You're ruining him. He was a top 5 pick as a tight end. That's insane. They just haven't been using him well. And then Kenneth Walker, I think the Seahawks will franchise tag him, just bring him back. Charbonnet got tore his ACL, so having Kenneth Walker, he showed out in that Super Bowl II, Super Bowl MVP. Keeping him around would be the smart thing because you don't know when Charbonnet is going to come back and at what percent. So having a true number one back like Kenneth Walker in the backfield, that would be the smart thing to do. And if they don't, I like Kyle Pitts. I've seen people mock him to the Chiefs to bring in an actual running back. So that would be interesting. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Just replace Pacheco and have Pacheco take on the Charbonnet role, kind of what Seattle did. So I'm not exactly opposed to that. And then you got Trey Hendrickson with the Bengals. That's a whole can of worms right there. There was the whole issue they didn't re-sign him last year. They were going to let him walk this year. I don't believe that they're going to franchise tag him. I think he's going to go somewhere else, which isn't exactly smart because the Bengals defense is non-existent and they kind of just have to rely on Joe Burrow and those two receivers, because I can't say the offense because the offense isn't great. It's just Burrow, Higgins, and Chase to kind of carry them to salvation. And if trends show, Joe Burrow will remain healthy this year. So it'll just be the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins show, sadly. And then Breece Hall, I don't know. I don't know what'll happen there, honestly. There is a chance that the Jets bring him back, try to do something, but there is also a possibility that he walks. And then he is all like Kenneth Walker. He has been linked to the Chiefs. He was linked to the Chiefs at the trade deadline as well. I honestly like that for them. Honestly, just bringing in any help possible for Mahomes is smart. Like I've linked Pitts, Kenneth Walker, and Breece Hall to the Chiefs. Bringing in any one of those, even two of them, would be great because the Chiefs are not good. Mahomes is not playing with a good roster anymore. Travis Kelce is old and frankly not good anymore. They don't have Tyreek Hill on the outside anymore. Rashee Rice is not great. Like, they don't have options, so bringing in these free agents would be the smart thing to do overall. And then we'll move over to the Dolphins. They have released Tyreek Hill. He suffered that gruesome knee injury, dislocated his knee, tore his ACL, and all that. He'll be an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his career. And this move saves the Dolphins $22.8 million in the salary cap. And to pair along with Tyreek Hill, they also released Bradley Chubb. So they're just kind of shedding players with their new regime, new head coach, new general manager. They're trying to restart from scratch. And honestly, that is the smart thing to do. For Tyreek Hill, I don't exactly know where he's going to end up. He destroyed his knee relatively like at the middle of the season-ish. So there is a possibility that he comes back. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. Honestly, the Bills need an explosive receiver, which I don't know how explosive Tyreek will be once that comes back. But the narratives, if the Bills manage to win will be hilarious. They can just pin it on the Chiefs of being Tyreek Hill merchants, which I wouldn't be opposed to. That would be hilarious for me. The Ravens also have a tendency to sign old, washed up receivers, so that could also happen. The Titans also have a tendency to sign old, washed up receivers too. They signed up old washed Hopkins, old Julio Jones, old Calvin Ridley. Like so, there are some teams that could go for Tyreek Hill, but I don't know exactly what type of explosiveness he'll have coming off of that gruesome injury. And then when you look at Bradley Chubb, he's 31. Or no, he's not 31, but he's talented. There is potential there. He could go elsewhere. He was on the Broncos before he went to the Dolphins, I believe. So bringing him back to the Broncos would be filthy. Pairing him up on that defense would be disgusting. Honestly, pairing him up. Who else needs a pass rusher right now? Again, the Bills have proclivity for bringing in old pass rushers, kind of washed up. Joey Bosa, Von Miller. Bringing in Bradley Chubb would fit into that mold, that prototype right there. So that wouldn't exactly be the strangest thing that has happened overall. And then that will continue on with some of the other news. Relatively minor stuff. Lane Johnson is coming back next season. So here is to legendary Eagles career. Steph Curry has undergone further testing on his knee that kept him out for the All-Star weekend. And I believe it was 5 games before that. So he has undergone further testing. It came back negative. So here's to that, but he will be ineligible for any postseason awards. He's missed too many games, so he won't be an All-NBA, anything like that, which sucks. I don't like that. I trashed the 65-game rule earlier. It's ridiculous. It was a rushed rule. So that is pretty much the latest in sports. Welcome to the main topic of the episode, where I'm going to be power ranking, or putting all 32 NFL teams into a tier list. We have at the bottom, we got dumpster fires, it's bad, mid, one dominant side, good team, and Super Bowl caliber. So I think the easiest place to start is to knock out the dumpster fires first. So with that, the first dumpster fire is going to be the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are not good. There's no getting around it in any way. When you look at their quarterback situation, it's not good. They have the revolving door with Shador, Dylan Gabriel, maybe Deshaun Watson. It's horrendous when you look at everything. And then when you look, they just got a new head coach, Todd Munn. Oh my god, dude! I want to figure out where the heck am I looking. Welcome to the main topic of the episode where I'm going to be putting all 32 NFL teams into a tier list. The bottom tier, you have dumpster fires, followed by It's Bad, Mid, One Dominant Side, Good Team, and Super Bowl Caliber. So I think it is only right to start off by putting the Dolphins in dumpster fire. As it stands right now, they did finish third in the AFC East this season, but as I talked about in the news segment, they released Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb. Mike McDaniel got the boot, so they're bringing in a new head coach, new general manager. This season, they ranked in the bottom 5 on offense in both yards and points. And then on the defensive side, they didn't rank higher than 22 in either points or yards. They ranked 24th in points, 22nd in yards. So they did not have a great season. And then when you look at their roster, they have a gigantic question at the quarterback position with Tua. They're non-committal to him. They don't have much of an other option apart from Quinn Ewers or going out to sign somebody in free agency. And even if they do go out and sign somebody in free agency, the draft class isn't great. The free agent class isn't great. You have who? Malik Willis is probably the hottest quarterback on the free agent market, and that's not exactly something that I'm dying to be a part of. So we have the Dolphins as the first team in dumpster fire, and it is only right that they are joined by the Raiders. The Raiders have the number 1 pick in the draft for a reason. They hired Pete Carroll for no reason. So they finished dead last on every metric imaginable on offense. So here is that. On top of that, there's been issues with Max Crosby and whether or not what he's looking like for them. So they have to face that challenge and figure out what exactly they'll do with that. I think that they'll keep him, but he's the one. I wouldn't even say bright spot. He's their only decent player on defensive side of the ball. Outside of that, they don't have anything on the offense. They have Ashton Genty and they have Brock Bowers. You're going to draft Fernando Mendoza, but I don't know if he's exactly this superstar quarterback that you're just dying to get. And then when you look at the rest of the offense, it's not exactly some amazing unit. Offensive line is not great. They traded away Jacoby Myers at the trade deadline to the Jaguars, and he played pretty well there, but you don't have any other receiving options there. They're bringing in Clint Kubiak as their head coach. Just won a Super Bowl. Did a great job as the OC for the Seahawks. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but the Raiders will retain their spot in dumpster fire, and honestly for the foreseeable future, because it is bad. And then after that, I think it's only right to add the Jets along with them in dumpster fire. The Jets ranked 29th, I believe, on offense, both on points and yards, which isn't exactly pretty, but that's to be expected when you have Justin Fields at quarterback and then the owner saying that Justin Fields is horrible. So they switched him out for Tyrod Taylor, and Tyrod Taylor isn't exactly who I want leading my franchise going into 2026, but they don't really have any other options. And then, so that meant that Aaron Glenn somehow kept his job. I talked about that in the Coaching Carousel episode 1. Tune in. You can go rewatch that. But so Aaron Glenn has kept his job somehow. As of right now, they have not franchise tagged Breece Hall, which is a bit concerning. They did a fire sale on defense. They got rid of Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, so they don't have their defensive stars anymore either. And they ranked 31st in points on defense and 25th in yards. So it's not like they had a great defense either. And they did a fire sale on the defensive side of the ball. I don't exactly know what they were hoping to get out of that. So here is to the Jets being honestly not the worst team in, well, yes, the worst team in New York, but it could have been a whole heck of a lot worse for them. They could have been dead last in both, but they were not. Thankfully, the Raiders existed. And then who else? Who else belongs in dumpster fire as of right now? I'm looking at these teams. The Titans still belong in dumpster fire. Yeah. When you look at it, they fired Brian Callahan in week 6 after they drafted Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. They ranked 30th in points, 31st in yards on offense. So offense didn't exactly produce. He was trying to throw to the husk of Calvin Ridley, who got hurt during the season. And then you don't have an offensive line. You don't have a running back. You don't have receivers. You just have Cam Ward and nothing on offense. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you have Jeffrey Simmons and exactly that. You have crickets. Nothing on defensive side of the ball. They finished 28th in points last year, and they hired Robert Saleh. Maybe he'll be able to bring in some defensive oomph that he had in San Francisco after losing both Bosa and Warner. He'll be able to revitalize the Titans defense like he did with that 49ers defense. But I don't know how exactly that is going to look. So maybe the Titans can bump up, but I don't know for now. Right now they stay in dumpster fire. It's been like that ever since they got rid of A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry. So, sadly. Then I'm just walking through all the teams that swapped out head coaches right now. We got to go Arizona Cardinals. They were abysmal to watch. I'm sorry. You had your tight end as your leading receiver. Even though Trey McBride, great tight end. Love him. Amazing on fantasy. That's not exactly a good thing when you spent, I believe it was, number 3 or 4 pick on Marvin Harrison Jr., who was supposed to be this prodigy, best wide receiver prospect to come out in years, first ballot Hall of Famer. He hasn't been playing well. You have Kyler Murray, who got benched for Jacoby Brissett because they felt Jacoby Brissett gave him a better chance to win. Keeping in mind, Jacoby Brissett did not win any games at quarterback. So there's that. They fired Jonathan Gannon after he was supposed to be a defensive guru. The defense was 29th in points, 27th in yards. It's not exactly a good environment to have in Arizona. On top of that, you are sitting in the toughest division in the NFL. You play Super Bowl champion Seahawks. You have the 49ers with Kyle Shanahan, who somehow are always good. And then you also have the Rams with the MVP Matthew Stafford, runner-up to Offensive Player of the Year, Puka Nacua, and just an insane offense and a very, very good defense. Hint, hint, where the Rams are going to be later in this ranking. So the Cardinals are just, it's bad. There's no other way to get around it. It's bad. And then next team that belongs in, it's bad. I'm looking at it right now. Ooh. That Browns helmet is calling my name right now, but I don't know how I feel about that. The Saints belong in. It's bad. I'm sorry. There's no getting around it. Saints. It's weird because they drafted Tyler Shough. He played well. Wasn't bad for a rookie after the whole Spencer Rattler experience. Kelvin Banks, nice tackle. Cool. Defense wasn't horrible. Middle of the pack in points and then ninth in yards. Nice. The offense, okay. 28th in points, 23rd in yards. Not horrible. But it's just something about the Saints and their roster. They're always trying to compete, so to speak. I get it. It's the NFC South. The Panthers won the division with a losing record, 8-9 record, which isn't exactly inspiring confidence in me or anyone else. So there is that. On top of that, you have an old team. It's an old roster. DeMario Davis is old. Cam Jordan is old. Alvin Kamara is old. And then you have Chris Olave. He played well, but he has a lot of concussions, which is kind of concerning. You got rid of Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks. Again, won the Super Bowl after he left. So it's bad, and the front office has not drafted well. The Rams were part of a trade for a tackle. You don't trade offensive linemen during the season. Like, that doesn't happen. They traded an offensive lineman. Like, that should tell you how bad it is for the Saints. And then, who else? It's bad. The Giants. The Giants are a weird team, honestly. They had the coaching turnover. They fired Daboll, brought in John Harbaugh, experienced coach right there. They lost Malik Neighbors for majority of the season with an ACL. They lost Cam Skattebo with a gruesome ankle injury after what was a pretty good start to the season. Jackson Dart is not a bad quarterback. They just have to make sure he doesn't get CTE and gets checked for a concussion every 3 plays, which is a concern. So there's potential there. The offense, this year they finished 17th in yards, 13th in yards, 17th in points, which isn't horrible. But it's the thing that's an issue is the defense. Like, their defensive line was supposed to be good. Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, like those are names right there. That's a good defensive line. But somehow they managed to finish 26th in points and 28th in yards. That should not be happening with a defensive front like that. Truth to be told, it is fair. Their back seven is non-existent. They don't have DBs. They don't have linebackers either. So that is a valid argument, which is exactly why they're in it's bad. They don't have the majority of their defense. And on offense, there are a lot of questions to be answered. They hired Matt Nagy as their OC. Like, what are we deciding to do here? They have questions with John Harbaugh. Is he passed up? Is he washed up? Is the delegation coach the right approach to take when you're looking and considering everything? So there are a lot of questions that have to be answered with the New York Giants. And then we get to mid, and oh boy, I'm looking at a lot of these teams right now. You are calling my name. First team that I have to go with is Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First team in mid. They finished 8-9. Right, the definition of mid. Offense finished 18th in points, 21st in yards. Defense 20th in points, 19th in yards. That is just mid. Their quarterback Baker Mayfield, mid. Like, this team is very okay. They're not great at anything, and they're not like blowing your socks off. And then you consider how they ended the season, that disaster class that happened. You lose to you beat the Panthers, and then you watch they beat the Panthers. But then you watch the Falcons beat the Saints, and your playoff hopes slide right out of your fingers. You started 5-1. You were 6-2. And then you lost 3 straight. You lost 7 of your next 8 games. Like, what are we doing here? That's not good at all. So you have that. It was just a mid-season overall. And then I feel like you have to group them together. The Carolina Panthers, I just talked about them, that they won the division at 9-8 or 8-9. Bryce Young didn't play horribly, but he didn't play great either. This is a team that is interesting. They were 27th in both points and yards on offense, and they were mid. 15th in points, 16th in yards on defense. That is perfectly mid. You can't get any more mid than that. So on offense, you had Ted. Ted was nice. Won Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Not bad. Bryce Young wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either. There was just a lot of questions that had to be answered when it comes to that team. And then Dave Canales, not bad. Improved. They made the playoffs, which is a miracle. Honestly, a lot of people didn't expect it. A lot of people going into the season thought that it was going to be the Buccaneers to take the NFC South, as they had been doing the past couple seasons, and just continue rolling with it. I honestly thought that too going into the season, but the Panthers were able to turn it around. But I can't put them any higher than this. The entire NFC South just has a cap at mid, which is why the Falcons are joining them. All 3 NFC South teams go in mid, and then you have the Saints, and it's bad. And that just feels right to me. So let's look at the Falcons here. When we look at their stats right now, 14th in yards, mid. On offense, 15th on yards. In defense, mid. Defense, not great. James Pierce Jr., no comment on your allegations and what is happening there. Not a good sign. Michael Penix, another knee injury. Okay, then. You have Kyle Pitts. You need to franchise tag him or do something. intelligent, hopefully. You have Kirk O'Chains. What are you going to do with him? You're going to keep him? You're going to start him? You're going to let him go? Like, what are we doing here? You swapped out head coaches. You brought in Kevin Stefanski. Okay. That is a very mid hire. It's not blowing anybody's socks off. You have Bijan Robinson. Nice. I like him. He's very good. Very fun to watch. But what else are you going to give me? What else are you going to provide for me here? Other than that, it's a very, very middle of the pack thing and very middle of the pack team overall, like they have been ever since that Super Bowl heartbreak against the Patriots 28-3. And then it's only right. The definition of mid for the past forever, ever since Mike Tomlin was the coach. All right. Definition of mid. Let's look at their past seasons. Last season, 10-7. Year before that, 10-7. 2023, 10-7. 2022, 9-8. 2021, 9-7-1. Like, you can't get any more mid than that. And then you look offensive points. They ranked 15th. Defensive points. They ranked 17th. That is like mid. Then you on offense, let's just look at their offense. Aaron Rodgers, old and rickety, not prime Aaron Rodgers, which would have probably boosted them up at some point. I don't know by how much, but the combination of Tomlin, who never has a losing season, and along with Aaron Rodgers, who was an MVP, that would have boosted them higher, but Aaron Rodgers is not that, has not been that for a long time. You have that. You have DK Metcalf, who I honestly thought, I fell for the hype. I thought he was going to be a freak of nature superstar. I saw those pictures of him working out. He looked like an alien freak of nature when the Seahawks drafted him. I liked him. Turns out he's not all that. He's not, wow, he's not going to blow your mind. He's not amazing. And then you have Roman Wilson, not great either. Offensive line, very mid. When you look at the defense, it's an aging defensive core. You have Jalen Ramsey. He's getting up there in age. TJ Watt is getting up there in age. Cam Hayward's getting up there in age. You had, honestly, some issues with that defense last season and the past couple seasons. There have been some rumors, some stories coming out about that and what they'll be able to do, what they have done. So they got Tomlin, step down. Okay. You hired Mike McCarthy. That is, like the Falcons, the most mid-hire imaginable. Like, Mike McCarthy isn't this ceiling raiser. He's not one of these young guru offensive-minded head coaches that's just going to automatically boost your offense to new levels. It's just very meh, very mid. And then we're following that up with the Minnesota Vikings are going into mid. They finished 9-8 last season and were plagued by he who shall not be named at the quarterback position by 9. That caused their offense to be 26th in yards and 28th in points. That is horrible. That should not happen when you have Justin Jefferson on the field. That should not happen when Jordan Addison is your wide receiver too. Like, why? How? So you have that issue right there. KOC is a good coach, very good coach. He can maximize players. And then you have Brian Flores on the defensive side of the ball. He did great. Vikings defense, top 7 in points and yards. Like, they were a good defense, but when you balance that out, it's very mid. They were plagued. I can't emphasize this enough. They were plagued by 9. He is a domestic terror for them. So you have that issue. And then, I don't even know. Like, past years, they honestly would have been a good team. I would have put them a lot higher. But just 9 weighs them down so much that I can only put, like, this is the highest I can put them to any capacity. And then who else are we putting here? I have there's a couple teams that I'm thinking about here. The Colts are a very realistic possibility. On top of that, the Lions as well. I think I'll put the Colts. I'm putting the Colts in mid as well. The rationale behind this. I know they were top 9 in offense on both points and yards. Very nice. Jonathan Taylor, very good season. Very good start to the season, but he fell off. Daniel Jones, very good start to the season. And then he got hurt. Like, that was very nice. But you brought in Phillip Rivers. Like, what are we doing here? Your defense, 21st in yards, 23rd in point, or 21st in points, 23rd in yards. Your net rating on yards was 18th. Like, that's very, very mid. I get that there are recipes for success, but when you balance out the offense and the defense, I can't say dominant one side, like a dominant one side that'll just elevate your team to new heights and just change absolutely everything for you. Because that's not exactly what that is. And what that offense was for them, even with Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor. I mean, at the start of the season, maybe, when they were the 1 seed, that was a very possible thing. But when we look at it overall, it's just hard to really put them any higher than mid at the end of the season in retrospect. And then I am going to come out with, who do I put next? There are I don't know what to do right now. But there are 2 teams that are speaking my name right now, and I think, actually, I rephrase that. There are 3 teams speaking my name right now. And wait a minute. Why do I still have the Commanders on the board? Hello? It's bad. It was very bad. Sorry, but that was very, very bad. They were horrible. I get Jaden Daniels was hurt. Not exactly a great season. But It's bad when you net out at 27th in points and 29th in yards in your overall ranking on the season. That is very bad. I get players miss time. That's never fun. Oh well. But when you have a team like that the year before you made the NFC Championship game, you were good. You were very good. You were very nice. You were very fun to watch. But we can't have you being higher than it's bad when you net out 27th and 29th. There's just no getting around that in any way, shape, or form. And then, what do I do next? I'm looking here, and there's one team that this is going to get me crucified, but they didn't exactly live up to the hype this year. That is the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going in mid. They are mid. Like, let's be frank here. Mahomes tore his ACL. Travis Kelce is on the decline. Rashee Rice is not a world changer. Neither is Xavier Worthy. Their defense, Chris Jones, is getting old. They keep cycling out players. I don't care that their defense was top 10 in points and yards. Their offense was buns. Very bad. Like, it was not fun to watch at all. Like, you finished 21st in yards, or 21st in points, 20th in yards on offense. They were mid, like MID, capital mid, the whole season. And next year, you cleared up a lot of space with that Mahomes restructuring. You have the potential to maybe bring in some free agents. I talked about Kyle Pitts when I was looking at franchise tagging. I was talking about Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker when I was talking about franchise tagging. Bring in somebody on the offensive side of the ball. Give Mahomes some sort of help because he desperately needs it. There's no getting around it to any capacity. Mahomes needs help. And until that changes, the Chiefs are going to stay in mid. I don't care what anyone says. So I think that is where we cap out mid. For now, we're going to go to one dominant side of the ball. I'm going to start that off with the Lions. For me, the Lions are clearly one dominant side of the ball. They were top 5 in both points and yards on offense. Like, their offense is dominant. There's no getting around it. Their defense, on the other hand, struggles. Always with injuries somehow. Last year, it was the 1 seed despite a billion injuries on defense. This year, they missed the playoffs with a billion injuries on defense. But yet somehow, despite finishing 22nd in points and 18th in yards, they netted out at 8th in both points and yards on overall ranking. That is thanks to the offense. That is the definition of one dominant side of the ball. Like, offensive season rating was a 5.2. Average is 0. That is spectacular. That is very, very good on the overall. And then there is clearly the next team that really speaks to me is the most clear one dominant side, and that is the Houston Texans. They are the opposite of the Lions in that their defense is out of this world. They were first in yards, second in points. Like, they were a nightmare to play against. Best, honestly, top 2 defense in the league. Incredible. D'Amico Ryan has that defense playing lights out. Will Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter, Derek Stingley. That entire defense is a terror to play against. And they were so good. They carried their offense, which ranked 13th in points and 18th in yards, to net out at 6th overall in points and yards on the season. Like, they carried themselves out of a massive hole to start the season. Like, when you look at the record, they started 1-3 to start the season. They rattled, and then to cap off the season, they rattled off wins against the Jaguars, the Titans, the Bills, the Colts, the Chiefs, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Colts again. Like, they rattled off, I think, like 8 straight wins there and made the playoffs. That they were carried by their defense. It's not funny. It was insane. And there's no getting around it. They're dominant on one side of the football. Continuing with defensive. Nah. Who cares about defense? It's the modern NFL. We want offense. And that is exactly why we're putting the Dallas Cowboys next, baby. America's team, even though I don't like them, along with the rest of the country. America's team, Dallas Cowboys, were second in yards on offense. They were 7th in points. They carried a defense that was 32nd in points and 30th in yards. Like, what are we talking about here? It was clear from day one that there was one dominant side of the ball, and that was the offense. You had Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens, who a lot of people are saying are better than CD, even though they do have to franchise tag George Pickens. Let's make that clear. They should bring him back no matter what. I don't care if they don't. They're dumb. Jerry, you are even more senile than I thought. But they have to bring him back ASAP because that defense is horrendous. You need to bring in other players on the defensive side of the ball. If you can bring in Trey Hendrickson, nice. That way you can say you turn Micah Parsons into Quinnen Williams. You can't say Logan Wilson anymore because they just released him. A couple picks and Trey Hendrickson, not bad. But the offense clearly carries. Then, this is tough. See, I want to put the Bengals in one dominant side, but Joe Burrow did not play the majority of the season. They had Jake Browning starting, which was bad. Very bad. Didn't they have Joe Flacco starting at 1.2 this season? It was bad. Yeah. Never mind. Now I'm saying that. I keep saying it's bad, so that's exactly where they're going. They're going in, it's bad. The reason I thought about putting them in one dominant side was you have Joe Burrow, you have Jamar Chase, you have T. Higgins. That has been proven to be the elite trio passing offense in the NFL over the past couple seasons when all three are healthy. But that is the caveat. When all three of them are healthy. Joe Burrow was not healthy this season. And then you have a defense. Honestly, just as bad as the Cowboys defense. They were 30th in points and 31st in yards. Like, we can't even say I want to compare them to the Cowboys, but You can't because they were bad. They were mid on offense at best. Like it, it's bad. I talked about this on Coaching Carousel episode 1. I don't know how Zach Taylor still has a job. Like, let's be real here. What does he do? What does he do in the offseason? How is this team unprepared at the start of every year? Is he like picking flowers during training camp? Like, what is going on here? So, I have so many questions about that. And I was seriously thinking about putting them in one dominant side, but when you have missing players like that, you can't do it. There's a polar bear in Arlington here. I still haven't ranked the Cleveland Browns. They're just sitting at the top of the board right now, and I don't know where to put them. I was thinking about putting them on one dominant side because that defense is amazing. It's very nice. Somehow every year they manage to piece together a good defense. But that offense is bad. It scares me. That offense, I don't like that offense. But I don't want to put them in dumpster fire either though. I think I got to put them in it's bad. Because the defense is amazing. Myles Garrett is an alien. He's a freak of nature. I don't know what they were feeding him as a kid. He's an alien. Broke the sack record, unanimous DPOY, fully deserved that. Carson Schlesinger, offensive or defensive rookie of the year. He's a great player too. Love him. I called my shot on him early on in the season. He was going to be good. But you don't have a quarterback. You have Pro Bowler Shedeur Sanders. You have the midget of Dylan Gabriel. You have nasty man Deshaun Watson. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing in the quarterback room? Is Todd Monken going to be able to bring out something, anything from this team, anything from that quarterback room? David Njoku, I believe, is no longer going to be with the team. So there is one of your tight ends. You have Harold Fannin. Nice. Quinshaw Judkins. He got hurt. He also was facing some charges at the start of the season. Not great. Like, what are we talking about here with the Browns? Sure, the defense finished 4th in yards. Nice. Offense. 31st in points, 30th in yards. That's not good. That's horrible. You netted out at 28th in points and 21st in yards. It's bad. It's very bad. But I can't put you in dumpster fire because you still have talent somehow. The defense is full of talent. So I can't put you in dumpster fire. But it's very, very close. Oh, how you frustrate me and will continue to frustrate me for the rest of your existence with your 1 billion quarterbacks. And now, this is where things get tricky. This is where things get very, very tricky. Denver Broncos. This is where we have questions. Denver Broncos. Are you one dominant side or are you a good team? You were top 3 in points and yards on defense, but your offense was mid. What are we doing here? Are we changing something? Are we gonna do something? I think, like what I just said, top three defense in points and yards, offense 14th in points, 10th in yards. Sounds a lot like one dominant side to me. Bobert Nix is not exactly a world beater on the offensive side of the ball. You're kind of carried here by that. I think that the defense was the main reason that you were able to make it to the AFC Championship. Carried you throughout the season. You have all pros all over the place. You have Nick Benito. You have Pat Surtain. You have dogs everywhere on offense. Not really. Troy Franklin. Love him. Went to middle school with him. Same area, Oregon product, Bay Area product. He doesn't exactly move mountains. Like, it's not awe-inspiring for the Broncos. And then 49ers, one dominant side. And then dominant side is Kyle Shanahan and his black magic somehow. I don't know how he does it. Like, how he pulls out top 10 offensive. They were offenses out of the blue. They were top 10 in points, and 7th in yards. Like, they started Mac Jones for a good chunk of the season. Christian McCaffrey was their leading rusher and receiver this year. Like, how? The fact that Kyle Shanahan does all this does not have a coach of the year, I believe, either, which is blasphemy. He is the one dominant side. Kyle Shanahan. There's no getting around it. He brought them to second in the division. They finished 12-5 after they lost Nick Bosa and Fred Warner for the season. After they lost Brock Purdy for the majority of the season. George Kittle got hurt in the playoffs. Brandon Ayuk fell off the face of the earth. They did not have a wide receiver one. If you want to call Ricky Pearsall a wide receiver one, be my guest. I'm not exactly inspired by Ricky Pearsall in any way, shape, or form. Cool story. You got shot and managed to come back the same season. That's good on you. But neither side exactly inspires confidence. I can't put it in mid, though, because Kyle Shanahan just is too good of a quarterback. So I think that clears it out for one dominant side. Now, where do we go? Right now, putting the Jaguars in good team. Very good team. Very nice team. Finished 13-4 this season. Nice. Netted out at 4th in points, 9th in yards. Very good team. Trevor Lawrence. Nice. Got himself on the MVP ballot. Very nice. Travis Hunter got hurt, which sucks. Brian Thomas was seeing ghosts, which sucks. Defense. Not bad, honestly. Very nice defense. Liam Cohen. Nice. They were a very good team. After the Colts were the number one seed for a while, the Jaguars, they stayed hot on their tails, honestly. They were consistent, and they rattled off the season with 7 straight wins against the Chargers, the Cardinals, the Titans, the Colts, the Jets, the Broncos, the Colts, and the Titans. 8 wins, actually. Who the heck am I? They rattled off 8 straight wins. So, very nice. The one caveat, you going to be able to do this in the playoffs? Like, you lost to Josh Allen again? Can we do something here? But overall, very good team. Kudos to the Jacksonville Jaguars. That I always thought were going to be eternally not good and eternally meh. But very good team. Improved. Trevor Lawrence. Nice. Kind of looking like the Peyton Manning clone a lot of people thought he would be. Who else are we going to put here? Oh, there are a couple of teams. One of them is the Packers. Very good team. Good team, but not great. There's an argument for mid. I'll put that out now. They finished 13th in total points, 13th in yards, overall rankings there, 13th and 10th. Not exactly awe-inspiring, but they were a good team. They managed to make it work with Malik Willis when Jordan Love got hurt. Jordan Love played very well this season. Defense played pretty well this season. Not complaining about that. But they did lose to the Bears in the playoffs. There are some caveats there with things they have to improve. So I'm going to keep them at good team. I can't move them any higher than that. I don't have much to say about the Packers overall. So they just have to build off of this season. I want to put the Ravens a good team. I really do. But I can't. Can I? Because they are a good team. The numbers say the opposite. I'll read you guys the numbers right now. I have it pulled up. They finished overall ranked. Points, 15th. Yards, 22nd. The numbers suggest mid. However, I can't bring myself to put them in mid. The talent is insane. No getting around that. No denying that. Lamar Jackson, Kyle Hamilton, and everybody in between. They are a good team. They're a good team. I can't say otherwise. They're a good team. They're a great team. Love them. They just weren't healthy this season. Lamar Jackson missed time. We saw what it looked like when he didn't have all of his athleticism at his disposal, which made him look vulnerable at times. The defense struggled as well, so there is that. But they weren't horrible. Could have been a lot worse. They managed to turn around. They were in contention for the AFC North until the final game of the season against the Steelers. They ultimately lost that game. But they did bring in Jesse Minter as their head coach. I talked about that. That was my favorite coaching hire of the cycle. I think that he can revitalize and completely change that unit, make them great. And honestly, I said that the Ravens are going to be the Super Bowl favorites next year, and they are going to win the Super Bowl next year. So I will stand by that. And that is why the Ravens deserve to be in good team, not in Super Bowl caliber, because, again, this year they did struggle. But next year, I will put them in Super Bowl caliber. They're great. And good team. Next one, we got the Eagles. I don't care. Eagles fan base. Even if you come at me, I will not bat an eye. I don't care what you say or what you do. Offense. Saquon Barkley. Madden Chris is real. Now you know. A.J. Brown. You are a diva. Relax. You're not amazing. You're not a world changer. You're not going to change our lives and make us think you are the Messiah. Jalen Hurts. Nah. Defense. Very nice. Cooper DeJean. White boy. Love him. Reed Blankenship. White boy. Love him. Jalen Carter. As long as you don't spit on people on the first defensive snap of the game. Nice. Very good defense. Very good players there. You finished 5th in yards, or 5th in points. Very nice. You carried a mediocre offense to net out at 10th in points. Nice. Honestly, they could be in one dominant side. Actually, now that I'm kind of talking myself into that, now that I'm talking about all of this, here you go. You go down a tier to one dominant side. That's where you belong. Now I'm talking myself into this. Defense, you were top 5 in points. Offense, you were 19th in points. You netted out at 17th in yards. When you net out to that in yards, but you ranked top 5 in points on defense, sounds like one side of the ball is dragging the weight. It was talked about all year that the Eagles' offense was not producing. They were in this slump that they couldn't produce when it mattered most, and that is what happened. So, Eagles, you go down to one dominant side. And now I'm here. I have 6 teams left. Something, for me, two teams here clearly belong in good team. The first of them is the Chargers. Good team. Justin Herbert, nice quarterback. Offensive line, bad. Very bad. Austin Deculus, you are a domestic terrorist. You are horrible. I am surprised that Justin Herbert survived. Mekhi Becton went back to his New York Jet ways. Quentin Johnston, after having a good start to the season, kind of fell off the face of the earth and went into irrelevancy. Ladd McConkey was meh. So, very mid. Jesse Minter on the defense, though. Nice. Jesse Minter, there's a reason you are now the Ravens head coach. Top 9 defense in yards and points. Netted the team out. They finished 11-6. They were the 7th seed. Very nice. Very quality team. Very good team, but not exactly mind-boggling. So, you stay in good team. And you will be joined by MVP Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. You finished 12-5. Not bad. Offense. Josh Allen, you are Superman incarnate. You are from Krypton. You carried this offense to 4th in both points and yards. Wow. When you have Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir and nobody else as receivers. James Cook. Nice. I almost said Dalvin Cook, who was a dog back in the day, but not anymore. His brother. James Cook. Nice. Defense. Not horrible. Not horrible at all. 12 points. 7th in yards. Not bad. You have a good team. Very good team. Ownership and general manager, front office, not so much. Said a couple things you shouldn't have said. Did a couple things you probably shouldn't have. Shouldn't have fired Sean McDermott. Shouldn't have done an internal hire. Shouldn't have talked about Keon Coleman while he's still on the roster. So you got some issues there that probably should be worked out at some point. But very good team. I like them. Overall, nice. And now we have 3 teams left. We have the Chicago Bears. We have the Rams. We have the Patriots. And with the Seahawks. And there is one team that is a good team. That is the Bears. Nice. Offense, Ben Johnson. You are a genius. Caleb Williams. Still don't have 4,000 yards. Bears still don't have a 1,000-yard passer in their franchise history. But you'll get there. Your offense. Very nice. 9th in points. 6th in yards. Nice. Defense. Okay. You, despite being 9th in points and 6th in yards on offense, you netted out to a perfect 15 in both yards and points on your overall ranking. Very meh. Caleb Williams was Houdini in late games. So you have that. And then, it wasn't bad. Honestly, I think that they will run the NFC North for the foreseeable future. Unless the Lions decide to pick it up on the defensive side of football, or if the Packers and manage to do something there, or if the Vikings get rid of that, I called Austin Deculus a domestic terrorist. They get rid of 9. That is a real domestic terrorist right there. They free Justin Jefferson from the shackle of that quarterback. Now we get in Super Bowl caliber. That is obvious. First of all, put the Patriots here. Obvious. They were in the Super Bowl. They were top 3 on offense in both points and yards. They finished 4th in points and 8th in yards on defense. They were amazing throughout the season. But there's the caveat that your schedule was as soft as Charmin. Strength of schedule was a 3.4. You were playing a last place schedule last year, or this season. That helped you a lot. Drake May was under fire against one dominant side teams like the Texans defense, the Broncos defense. You had some issues there that needed to be addressed, and I don't know how well they will be addressed. You have to address your receiver room. As well. So there are some things that have to be changed. But overall, very good team. Definitely deserving a Super Bowl caliber. After that, you have the Rams. They are 100% Super Bowl caliber. They were, I said they were Super Bowl pick, either them or the Seahawks. As it turned out, I was right. Matthew Stafford, MVP. They were first on offense, first in points, first in yards, netted out overall ranking, second in points, third in yards. They were disgusting. Matthew Stafford, MVP. Puka Nacua was absolutely disgusting all season. Sean McVay is a genius. Their defensive line is absolutely disgusting as well. Love watching them and everything that they do. But they are not the Seattle Seahawks. That is the number 1 team, Super Bowl caliber, for a reason. They were dominant throughout the entire season. Kenneth Walker is good. Sam Darnold proved all the haters wrong. Went 14-3 again. Even though they did not finish first in offense, they did overall finish first in points, fourth in yards. Defense was elite. They finished first in points. Love that defense. Called themselves the Dark Side. Very nice name. Second coming of the Legion of Boom. And Mike McDonald is come out with a new archetype, the defensive guru coach. Very, very good. So that is the tier list. Super Bowl caliber, we got three teams only. The Patriots, the Rams, the Seahawks. Good teams. There are a couple good teams. You got the Jags, the Packers, the Ravens, the Chargers, the Bills, and the Bears. One dominant side of the ball. You got Lions offense, Texans defense, Cowboys offense, Broncos defense. The 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, and the Eagles defense. And then mid, you got most of the NFC South with the Bucks, the Panthers, the Falcons. You got the definition of mid with the Steelers. You got the Vikings, the Colts, and Kansas City Chiefs. And then it's bad. You got Cardinals, Saints, Giants, Commanders, Bengals, and Browns. And then dumpster fires. You got dumpster fires. So you got the Dolphins, the Raiders, the Jets, and the Tennessee Titans. So that was putting all 32 NFL teams into a tier list, ranking all of them. That was fun, but now it's time to transition over to game time. Welcome to game time. The first game that we're going to start off with some NFL related games, and we are going to be guessing the players based off of their previous teams. So let's get started. Patriots, Bucks, obviously Brady. Colts, Broncos, Peyton Manning. 49ers, Chiefs is Montana, I believe. Lions, that's Goff. Or other way around, Stafford. Chargers, Saints is Breeze. Oh, Falcons, Eagles, Jets, Steelers. Is that Vic? Michael Vick. Falcons, Packers. Oh, that is Favre. And Vikings, Raiders, Patriots. Randy Moss. After that, that is 49ers, Eagles. Oh, what is his name? Terrell Owens. Yep. And then that's Jerry Rice right after. Tyreek Hill. I am Tony Gonzalez. That is Gronkowski. Giants, Eagles. That is Saquon Barkley. Bills, Seahawks, Raider. Oh, that is Beast Mode. Marshawn Lynch. Chargers, Jets. Tomlinson. Cowboys. That Emmitt Smith. Yep. Linebacker. Broncos, Rams. Bills, Commanders. Now, that I'm going to struggle with. I'm going to knock out the other ones. Falcons, 49ers, Cowboys. That is obviously Deion Sanders. DN for the Eagles, Packers, and then Panthers. I don't know. Off the top of my head, kicker will go Vinatieri. I need these last two. I'm gonna beat myself up for this because I should know this. Broncos, Rams, Bills, Commanders. Oh, who was a linebacker for the Broncos and then went to the Rams? I should know that. I should 100% know this. And a D lineman who was on Eagles and then went to the Packers. I'm embarrassing myself right now. I don't know who these players are. Wait. Broncos, Rams. Is Von Miller on the command? I think this is Von Miller. I don't know why. I don't think of him as a linebacker. And then the second one is that Reggie White? That is Reggie White. Nice. Not bad. I will say I struggle with those last two so badly. All right. Next game that we're going to play, we're going to guess the NFL team based off of where their players were drafted from. We've got Iowa running back, Memphis wide receiver, Michigan wide receiver, Ole Miss wide receiver. Is that a Pitt or is FIU? That Washington tackle kind of speaking to me right now. The Washington tackle combined with the Ole Miss and Michigan receiver, I think this is the Steelers. It is the Steelers. Let's go. All right, let's play some other games. We're going to build our lineup here of players. So, who do we... MVP for $1. Yes, please. Take that. I'll take Davante Adams for $2. That is a steal. Ooh, wait. Do I take Puka? That's tough. That is very tough. I don't know what to do. I like Derrick Henry for $3. And then Jacoby Myers for $2 and Sam Laporta for $1. I like that. That's a good lineup right there. Submit that lineup. All right, the next game, we're going to move over to soccer. We're going to play a couple soccer games. The first one, we're going to do a bit of a throwback, a FIFA 20 Draft Simulator. First, we are going to start off with our formation. We're going to go 4-2-3-1 formation. I like that. Choose a captain, and we get a 95 Ronaldo. Love that. Wonderful start. We'll pair that with Ben Yedder. No chemistry there, but that doesn't really matter. Ben Yedder is French, so we'll pair him. I'll take Munir. Actually, zero chemistry right now. We need a player right here that will save us, like Seedorf. Give us something. Oh, my goodness. Okay, this is turning out much better than I thought. Who do we take here? Thiago Mendes or Veron? That's tough. I'll take Thiago Mendes. We flip this around, get more chemistry. We can't. And then we'll take Marcelo. He gets chemistry from both spots there. And then Sergio Ramos, that works. Can we flip this around? Get more chemistry? No. Delict 88 Linglet. I'll take that. Chemistry's still not great. Nelson Semedo is the best shot. We'll get 80 chemistry there. Our goalkeeper, Schmeichel. 93 chemistry. It's just Ben Yedder and Thiago Mendes that are cooking our chemistry right now. Let's see if we can fix it. Oof. We take Blanc. We put him in for Sergio Ramos. We swap those around. We get more chemistry. Okay. And then Zambrotta, put him in, get even more chemistry up to 96. And then we take... I'll take Timo Werner for the rating. Yuck. I'll take Busquets. He could slot in. I could use him for chemistry purposes. Oh, Golovin, I guess. No, Mbappe, you don't help. I need players with chemistry. Parejo would work. Also, that 95 Ronaldo card is cooking me right now as well. My attack does not have chemistry. I'll take a goalkeeper all black that works. This is cooked. This is so cooked. Jack Grealish, Aubameyang. Does Aubameyang get us any better chemistry? No, but I'll take him for the rating. Team of the year, Mane. I'll take that. I need a player who can give me chemistry here. Take the midfielder. We'll put Mane on. We'll put Oblak on. And then we'll put Aubameyang on. And we'll replace him with Mane. Our chemistry drops. But we put Aubameyang there. The chemistry doesn't improve. No. Oh. Can I swap this around and get more chemistry? If I put... What if I put Munir here? Oh, the chemistry goes down. No. Busquets, save me, please. 96 chemistry, but the rating goes down. No. Chemistry goes down, but it goes up to a 90. Oh, the chemistry goes down by 3 if I do that. Manager. Oh, no. We finished with a 188. I couldn't figure out the chemistry. It's the right wing. If I put Munir back in. Oh. Never mind. I figured out the chemistry. It's a 192. That is a very good team. I am happy with that. All right, next game we are going to play. We've been playing this every show. We're going to guess the player. We're going to hide the picture. First player, I don't know why. I've always been starting off with Bruno Fernandes. We'll start with that. He's in Premier League midfielder, shirt number 8. Not on United, he's on City. Oh, not on City, but I'm just throwing City out there. We'll do Declan Rice. Not on Arsenal. I can't remember shirt numbers to save my life. He's not English. He's not on Arsenal. He's not on United. City. Bernardo Silva. Is he on City? He's not on City either. Oh, this is not good. This is not good. Who can I say here? I honestly don't know if I'm going to be able to get this. Not on City, not on Arsenal, not on United. Jersey number 8, Premier League. Bruno Guimaraes. Ooh, he's on Newcastle. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. He's not Brazilian. He's not Portuguese. He's not English. Who are the? Harvey Barnes is a forward. Who are the midfielders on Newcastle? Tonali. It is Sandro Tonali. Yes. And my streak continues. That is it for the soccer games. Now we're going to go over to the basketball games. Our classic Podal. We always start with the same player. One, Stephen Wardell Curry. He's a guard in the East. Jalen Brunson. Atlantic Division. Taller than 6'2". He's young. Low jersey number. Teams in the Atlantic. The Knicks, the Celtics. Is Derek White a guard? He's old, I forget. So it's Knicks, Celtics, Sixers. VJ's not that tall, is he? He's not a guard. He's 20, so it's a young guard. And it's not the Knicks. It's not the Sixers. It's not the Celtics. So it could be the Nets or the Raptors, I believe. I don't know who this could be. Who are the players on the Nets? This is very, very hard. Because they drafted 1,000,000 guards during the offseason. I'm just going to guess Michael Porter to... Okay. It's a guard on the Nets. Who are these Nets guards? With a low jersey number 2. Who are these Nets guards? They drafted Igor Denham, but I can't spell. I don't even know if I'm spelling his name right. Who are the other I don't watch enough Nets basketball. I put them in the dumpster fire, the power rankings last week. Who are these? Who else did they draft? Wait, is it? Oh my god. Poto is throwing the craziest players I have ever seen. Drake Powell? You've got to be kidding me. Give me something better here on who go blind tier list. We'll go Chuck 2. Chris Bosch will go 4. KG will go 3. Rodman will go 4. Cousins will go 4. Griffin will go 4. I cooked myself. Ew. Nasty man alert. Davis. Oh. I suck at these. I'm so bad at these tier lists. I am horrible at them. It started off with Chuck and Garnett. I thought, and Chris Bosch, that was a logical progression. Oh, no. What was the category? Elite power forwards. All right. Let's do 2015 All-Stars. Pau Gasol, solid tier 4. Same with Kyle Korver. Timmy Duncan will put in tier 2. James Harden, tier 3. Marc Gasol goes in tier 4. Chris Paul, tier 3. Kyle Lowry, tier 3. Jimmy Butler, that was young. Jimmy, put him tier 4. Paul Millsap. At least we got LeBron right. And then we'll do keep 4, cut 4. Mario Chalmers. Get out of here. Same with Kyle Korver. Oh no. Manu. We'll keep Manu. I don't want to keep Nick Claxton, but I kind of have to. I'm cutting Mo Williams. Jokic, thank you. Michael Red. Oh, that was nasty. Somehow I got an 80. Probably should have been Kyle Korver or Michael Reed or some nasty work like that. That scares me so much, dude. I hate that with a burning passion. Do a start bench cut. Oh, wow. Okay. I don't even know where to start with this. You got Trae Young, LaMelo Ball, who just crashed his nasty looking Hummer or whatever, like yesterday. And you have Gunboy Ja Morant. Ew. I think LaMelo starts, Trae Young there, and then Jock because he never plays. I guess. That's devious. And then Coop 1. Oh, this is tough because Brandon Miller's been playing well. Oh. Brandon Miller, Trey Murphy. I'm going to put there and have Brandon Miller. Yeah. There's no getting around that. Oh, yuck. These are the nastiest names I've ever seen, so this is my last one. I can't go past this. Josh Giddey, Andrew Wiggins, and MPJ. I'll go MPJ because he's putting up buckets. Josh Giddey because he's stat padding in Chicago, and then Wiggins last. Those are some of the nastiest names I've ever seen. Oh my goodness. All right. But that is it for game time. We had Some nasty names come up on Hoopgo. I don't know why you hate me. You had Michael Redd, Mario Chalmers. You had me start bench cut Trey, LaMelo, and Ja. And then Michael Porter Jr., Josh Giddey, Andrew Wiggins. This was nasty timing, but I will say I had fun. So that is it for game time. We're entering the end of the show, guys. As you know, it's routine. I'm going to be looking at the upcoming schedule and talking about some of the games that I am looking forward to watching over the weekend and in between the time from now and the new show in the middle of the week. So we're going to start with the NBA. First game that I'm going to be tuning into is the Rockets and the Knicks at 8:30 Eastern on Saturday. And then on Sunday, there's a couple good games. First one, the Cavs and the Thunder at 1 p.m. and the Lakers and the Celtics at 6:30 p.m. And then on Monday, you have the Spurs facing off against the Pistons at 7 p.m. This is a good slate of games coming off of a nice All-Star game. So I'm excited for this. Then we go over to college hoops, and wow, it's on Saturday. You're eating well. We start off at 3 p.m. Eastern with number 4 Arizona against number 2 Houston. After that, you got number 1 Michigan and number 3 Duke at 6:30. And then at 10:30, you got number 6 Iowa and number 23 BYU. And then on Monday, you get treated to another great game. You got number 2 Houston going up against number 8 Kansas at 9 p.m. And so that has
great
been
slate of college
episode
basketball games.
4 of
Again,
In His
I
Bag.
can't
Hope you
talk
guys
about it
enjoyed
enough
it.
how much these games matter
Stay
and how much
tuned
I love
for
watching it heading
the
into
new show
March.
during the week. Again, I'm
There's
sorry
only 2
for
really good
not
games
putting that out this
when
week.
you look
I
at
had
all the major
to
leagues when
be
it comes to
at
soccer. The first one is
basketball
on
game
Saturday
between
at 3 p.m.
UMass
between
and
Newcastle
Miami, Ohio.
and Manchester
It was
City.
a great game, by the way. Loved
And then
watching
on
that. Loved
Sunday,
the environment.
this is the North London
But I wasn't
derby
able to
between
put out a news
Tottenham
episode, so I
and
crammed
Arsenal.
everything into this episode.
So
It was a long
those
news
are only 2
segment.
good
Tune in.
games.
Go watch that back or tune in to the separate news episode that I'll put out that covers everything that I talked about today. And then follow on the social medias if you're listening on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. The usual if you're on Spotify. Follow the podcast, comment, social medias, interact. I put out rankings, bunch of random rankings all the time. So interact with that. And thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the next show.